listening to Give God 90, where we're not afraid of the tough biblical questions, because we will dig through the language, the culture, and the history to find the truth revealed in the words of our Creator.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for spending some time with us. I am being closely monitored and supervised this morning.
Good morning, everyone.
If you're new here, we thank you because there's a lot of people that are joining us. I was looking at some of the analytics this morning, and there's folks from places that I've quite honestly never heard of. So if you're one of them, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Welcome.
Didn't know there were places in the world that had names like some of them do.
And that's okay.
That's okay. It's just it's humbling, and it kind of is strange at the same time because somebody wants to hear me.
You have a lot to say.
Sometimes I do have a lot to say, but I'm going to try and get there pretty quick today. I know everybody's busy. It's that time of year in the Northern Hemisphere where everybody's out. I was out yesterday and ran into some things I didn't want to run into.
That's an understatement.
Those nasty little ground bees will get you if you're not careful. And they we give them all kinds of places to live. They don't have to live in my yard. Oh, me. But, thankfully there's things out there. Myra's been making some concoctions. She's been doing some fermenting, and she's been making some vinegars. One of the things that she made earlier was plantain salve. Now, if you're thinking plantains like the banana, no, that's not it. Plantain is a plant that most people try to eradicate from their yard. And there's broadleaf and narrowleaf plantain, different sub-varieties, I guess is a good way to say it. But this is going to sound real scientific. The juices in the plant leaf actually relieve pain. They relieve itching. It makes a really, really good ointment. So she made some of that up this spring. I'm kind of glad she did.
Yeah, it's really come in handy this year.
Yes, it has. She goes out and forages that kind of stuff. But something that we came across a few weeks ago is bentonite clay, and it's a naturally occurring mineral, I guess is what it is in the ground. You can actually, cosmetics are made with it and some other things, but you can actually use it for a lot of things. We made a paste with it. It's actually sitting on my left hand right now.
It's really good for drawing out poisons from bites.
Yeah, it is.
And a lot of other stuff.
And a lot of other things. And I don't normally do this, but if you're interested in that and you want something natural that is good for you, if you visit, is it offgridwithdougandstacy.com? I think is the website. They have a link to Redmond's salt, and they have bentonite clay, and you can get a discount. Just saying, save you some money.
But check out their videos. They're pretty awesome.
Yep. If you go to YouTube, Off-Grid Doug bentonite clay, Off-Grid Doug, almost anything natural, not really homeopathic. They're
homesteaders.
They moved off-grid 15 years ago.
Everything on the property.
Yep. Well, I don't agree with everything he says. Most of what he says makes sense. And I really wish he'd say something he hasn't said yet.
He will.
And Doug, I know you listen sometimes. If you're listening now, here's what I want you to say. Are you ready? When you plant around your house, don't just plant for ornamentals. Plant something useful. There's a lot of ornamentals that are useful too. You know, lemon balm, mint, those kind of things. And anybody can grow them. They'll grow anywhere. People, what's that?
I think he does that.
He does that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Why, and I'm going to say, a lot of people that live in the urban areas, they say, well, I can't have a garden because my HOA doesn't allow it. Yeah, you can.
They allow shrubs.
Do some research. Rosemary makes a really good shrub.
Yes.
And it's very useful. Lavender's another one. All of these things that the HOA has no idea you're planting a garden. And you have something that you can use and that's useful. But, it's not like you're growing tomatoes in your front yard.
Right.
Which they should let people do anyway, but that's just me. But if you're going to have something, and folks that live, maybe you live in an apartment, you probably have a potted plant or two. Make it useful. You can grow basil on the windowsill.
Right.
There's other things that will grow that way too. If Doug's listening, he's probably going, mention microgreens.
Right.
Microgreens. Have something that you can utilize. Make it worth your time. The Almighty gives us these plants that we can use that will either keep you healthy or help heal you if you do get sick. And most of the time, we're trying to eradicate them from our yards. It's the craziest thing you've ever seen. But anyway, I digress from what I want to talk about today. Sometimes it seems like when I say something or I talk about something, a short time, things start popping up on different social media sites. And somebody sent me something the other day. I was talking about sin again. And somebody sent a message, and it had to be the craziest thing I've heard in a long time. There is a concept that the Creator created us to sin. And I read this, and I started doing a little bit of looking around, and there's some other things about that as well. There's some teachings out there that not only did the Creator create us to sin, He knew when He created us we were going to sin. It was in His plan for us to sin. And I had to stop, and I'm like, that just doesn't make any sense at all to me. That's the dumbest thing. Yeah, I said it. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. And Myra's going to read a couple of verses, and I want you to really listen to this. See if you pick up on something different than maybe you had thought about it before. Go ahead.
Then God said, "Let us make human beings in our image and likeness, and let them rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky. Let them rule over the tame animals, over all the earth, over all the small crawling animals on the earth." So God created human beings in His image. In the image of God, He created them. He created them male and female. Genesis 1:26 and 27.
Now that, of course, from the International Children's Bible. So it's close, very close. And most Christians are quick to point out that the first part of verse 26, it's proof of a multiple Godhead. Because it says, let us make God in our image. Or let us make man in our image, I'm sorry. But that's not the greatest interpretation. The word image is actually conjugated the way we would typically translate as our, right? But it's not proof the Creator's more than one. Instead, this concept is of a collective. We're different than the other divine beings that he created, and he gave them one job. Where mankind's skills being different, we have many skill sets that we can draw from most of the time. We're not, people can work in an office, they can cook, they can clean, they can do all kinds of things. Where the divine beings are typically going to be specific to one or two things. But that's not where I'm going. That's not where I'm going. I want to focus on something that apparently a lot of people overlook, especially if you think we're created to sin or God knew you were going to be disobedient. We're made in the image of Jehovah. Now follow me on this because it gets a little complicated. If being created to sin is in his image, then that means that the Almighty himself is sinful. And that would mean he could not be the righteous and just God that he is. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, as long as it makes sense. If we were created to sin, our Creator is mocking us. He's mocking his own creation, giving us a list of instructions to follow and then punishing us for not following those instructions, even though we were created not to follow those instructions. That doesn't make sense. It absolutely is ludicrous. It's the silliest, dumbest, craziest thing there is. But some people are teaching that. And apparently some pastors are speaking it from the pulpit because they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what the Bible says. We have taken the acceptance of sin to such a degree, we attempt to justify it saying, well, God made us to sin. God made me this way. No, he didn't. Now, I've said before that he made me hard-headed and thick-skinned, but I can pretty much guarantee he did not create any of us with the express purpose of being punished. That's our choice. People have begun to use this concept of free will as a reason to sin. But free will is just that. We have a choice. We can either choose to be obedient, we can choose to be disobedient. It's up to you. Free will is not a license to sin. It's a decision that we make. And we can either live the way we're designed to live, or we can reject that and try to do it our way. And if you've ever done that, how's it working out for you?
It's probably not.
It's probably not. Would you really want to worship or serve a God who is less than righteous and just? Think about that. Why would you do that? Why would you want to worship, serve, or believe in a God who is less than perfect? If you think we're not made in his image, why do we see this in the following verses? Go ahead and read those passages.
I am the Lord your God. Keep yourselves holy for me, because I am holy. Don't make yourselves unclean with these hated crawling animals. Leviticus 11:44. Speak to the whole congregation of Israel and tell them, be holy, because I, the Lord your God, am holy. Leviticus 19:2. Consecrate yourselves, therefore, and be holy, because I am the Lord your God, and you shall keep my statutes and practice them. I am the Lord who sanctifies you. Leviticus 20:7-8. As obedient children, do not conform to the passions of your former ignorance. But just as he who called you is holy, so be holy in all you do. For it is written, Be holy because I am holy. 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 14-16.
I've said before, when you see something where it says it is written, you go back to the places it is written. There's my example. We're not created to sin, and the expectation was for us to be obedient. It was the enemy. It was the serpent who brought sin into the world when he spoke against the Creator. And by the way, that is the definition of blasphemy. We are actually created to glorify the Creator, to serve him using the skills he gives to us so that we can benefit the people around us. You have a choice. You can be set apart, you can be holy, or you can be just like the rest of the world. It's up to you. It's not, it's not rocket science. I should really make a wise decision all day long, not just once, all day long. Mankind being created to sin is about the dumbest thing I think I've ever heard. Well, God knew we were going to sin. Maybe. But his hope was that we wouldn't. His hope is that we don't continue. His hope is that we choose to be more like him, because we are made in his image. The Almighty creating us for the express purpose, you're going to go sin, and I'm going to punish you. It goes against the character of our Creator. It's not even something that should be contemplated. God knew we were going to sin, and he gives us a way out, so that makes it okay. That's not the attitude you should have. God made me to sin. So if he made me this way, then it must be okay with him. That's not the attitude to have. Your attitude should be an attempt not to sin. Your attitude should be an attempt to follow his instructions. So I hope you make some wise choices. Some very wise choices. There's things in this world that he gives to us and says, here, use this. And there's things that we invent that makes it worse. We talk a lot on this podcast about being healthy and being the person that you're designed to be. One of the things that we've been doing for 32 years almost is using the plants that he gives us. We've experimented with lavender and all kinds of things for healing and making sure that we're healthy. And for a long, long time, we kept eating cakes and pies and store-bought sweet. Yeah, well, that too.
Shellfish.
Well, I was going with the sweet, sugary things.
Oh, okay.
Never putting two and two together that part of the reason you're not as healthy as you could be is because you're eating white refined sugar. One of the worst things that you can eat. You want to start being healthy? You want to start feeling better? A lot of people are going to hate me for saying this. Give up the white sugar. Stop drinking the soft drinks and stop eating the little Debbie pies and cakes.
Stay away from Starbucks.
Stay away from Starbucks.
Lots of sugar in there.
there's what was it? Starbucks uses 10% of the sugar produced in something a year. I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was more than I thought.
I was reading an article that said it was, 15 spoons of sugar in a large drink?
That doesn't surprise me. But there's ways that you can be healthy, and there's ways that you can be holy. Uh-oh, I'm going to tie those two together, aren't I? If you want to be healthy, think about the things that you eat. If you want to be holy, think about the things that you do and make wise decisions. That's all we're saying. Today. Just think about what you eat. Think about what you do. Think about what you're designed to eat and what you're designed to do. And until Thursday, we wish you many, many blessings, everyone.
Yes, thanks for listening.